Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to yet another Destiny 2 video, and today we're going to be talking all about the best loadouts for Trials of Osiris, and hopefully this can help you guys out and maybe, just maybe, get you guys flawless if you're coming up a little bit short with your team. Now of course there are many things that you can do that'll give you a better chance at going flawless before actually tinkering your build and the weapons that you're using, such as increasing your power level. For those that don't know, power level is enabled, so if you're going into trials at let's say 960, 970, you're definitely going to be at a disadvantage if you match up against somebody who has like 1010 power level. So I've been playing trials this weekend quite a bit, not as much as I would have liked simply because things are coming up, but I have gone flawless about 4 times and I've played, well over 60 matches, and I definitely have seen the meta, and I kind of know what has been working for teams and what hasn't, and what's annoying to play against and what's very easy to counter. So the very first loadout that we're going to take a look at, and in my opinion this is more or less the be all end all of loadouts. It is the best right now, subjectively, and I would make the argument that objectively it is also the best loadout you can use, and that is the spare rations in the primary slot and the beloved in the secondary. Of course, to use this effectively, you're going to have to like using hand cannons and have a pretty good shot with them, and of course you're gonna have to be fairly well acquainted with a sniper rifle. If you've always shot it in Destiny 2 and you just listen to this advice and put on a sniper, then it probably won't go well for you. But if you are somebody that's pretty capable and you think that you can do well with this loadout, then this in my opinion would be the best recommendation that I can give you guys. A spare rations with lots of range, maybe something like ricochet rounds, range finder, kill clip, anything like that is really solid and will make this weapon perform very well. You can also replace the spare rations with a dire promise. For those that don't know, the dire promise does actually have the potential for rolling with a higher range value than the spare rations. So if you can, spare tons and tons of shards and, open up legendary engrams with Rahul, then you might want to do that at the tower. It's 25 legendary shards per engram. You do have the chance of getting a dire promise, but the odds are not that great because the loot pool is pretty massive. Now I've opened up a ton of these, wasted about 1500 legendary shards, and only managed to get about 2 or 3 dire promises, both pretty solid but not god rolls ultimately. So if you're someone with tons of legendary shards and you like the feel of the dire promise, which is a year 1 classic weapon, then you can definitely use the dire promise and the beloved instead of the spare rations beloved. But it really just comes down to what rolls you have on your hand cannon and how much you're willing to grind for each of the weapons if you don't already have them. The next loadout is definitely a little bit different. We're ditching the hand cannon entirely and putting on the good old Hardlight in the secondary slot. This thing is such a beast right now, and a lot of content creators and a lot of people generally in the community really like this auto rifle buff that came out with the newest season. I'm also in the same bag as you guys. I love the changes to the auto rifles that they've made, and it's definitely a solid spot right now that we're in terms of the sandbox. But the Hardlight is definitely a little bit of an outlier. It has really good stats with the catalyst. The stability is maxed out. Recently they did fix the screen flinching, or I guess the kicking of the weapon when you're firing the Hardlight, so it's now very easy to control. And then they added a bunch of things. So for example, it has ricochet rounds, and when it bounces off a surface it does more damage. This is amazing when you're playing Trials of Osiris and getting an angle on somebody, because you can simply shoot at a wall if you know somebody's around there on your radar if you just look at it, and if your teammate's pinching him, you can shoot at a wall, it'll bounce off and do damage. It's a little bit cheesy, but you know what, I'm not going to say it's absolutely broken because it can be countered fairly easily with a hand cannon. It also has things like no range drop off, which is just ridiculous. This thing will do maximum damage at any range. If you're on the east side of Tumblr and shooting all the way to the west side, you'll do maximum damage, which is just unheard of for any weapon, let alone an auto rifle that has a time to kill value this good. And then last but not least, a few other things I thought I mentioned about the hard light. It does have some really good flinch that it deals to the person you're shooting at. So if you are in a 1v1 against the sniper, I would feel very confident 9 times out of 10 that I'm going to win the gunfight with the hard light, simply because the sniper's screen is just flinching like no tomorrow. And it also has a really large magazine size, so you can spray this thing endlessly, bounce the bullets off the wall, and overall be a nuisance to the other team. And it's really great at just locking down certain angles and pathways so that you can't get flinched or pushed on very easily in trials. Now what I'm gonna do is pair this thing over with the Revoker. The Revoker is a sniper that a lot of people said was going to be meta when it comes to trials when it finally releases. And they were right. The Revoker is a very high usage weapon right now in trials. You can check out the percentage of players using each weapon on Trials Report. That's online. It's very easy to find. But yeah, the Revoker is a fantastic weapon. As you all know, if you miss a shot from your sniper, if you wait a few seconds, you actually get that bullet back into the magazine. And for a game mode like Trials, where picks are the most important thing, this is such an underrated perk and very, very good. It also has a good amount of stability and a good amount of aim assist, which I personally like a lot, and it feels like it's fairly snappy overall with the snapshot perk that it has on it. Pairing this with the hard light is amazing, but you actually have flexibility with this loadout. Now because the hard light has that unlimited range that I talked about earlier, you can actually slap a shotgun in the primary. Now I'm one that really doesn't use shotguns very often whatsoever, so I'm sorry, I'm about to butcher this right here, but in the primary slot you can use like a Mindbender or a Dusk Rock or anything like that. See, I don't even know if the Mindbender is in the primary or secondary slot. That's how little I know about shotguns, because I very rarely ever use them. The only shoddy I use is Chaperone. And so that is going to lead me into my final loadout, ladies and gentlemen. This is the third one, and what we have here is the Chaperone with the Horror's Lease. Now, of course, you guys can change out this pulse rifle for the same archetype but a different weapon. There are plenty of them that are really good, and if you have yourself a god roll, then you can definitely use it instead of what I'm using. But my Horror's Lease is just so good. The roll is perfect and it feels gravy. It's smooth as butter, and it really does kill in a very fast time to kill, especially once I get kill clip procced. Anybody else after that initial kill just seriously gets melted. And the Chaperone, they buffed it recently to increase the damage you do to the body, and so it's a lot more consistent and definitely also melts. The Chaperone was very surprising when I first put it on. I felt like I had the ability and the confidence to really rush people and just kind of delete them out of the game and really make them pissed off. So Chaperone, Horror's Lease, or any other pulse rifle that's the same archetype that you have a god roll for, amazing loadout. You can use any of the pulse rifles that you essentially have. So that's really it for the 3 loadouts that I kind of custom tailored for you guys to use in trials. In my opinion, these are really the 3 best loadouts right now for this meta, and especially for Trials of Osiris, where every single life matters so much. And of course, with it being elimination, every round matters so much. These loadouts are really good. So just to recap very quickly, for the first loadout, and the one that I would highly recommend the most out of anything else, is the Spare Rations with the Beloved. Of course, you can replace the Spare Ration with a Dire Promise if you have a better god roll. That's totally acceptable. The second loadout that I would recommend is the Hard Light and the Revoker, or the Hard Light and a Shotgun. Really depends on if you're a shotgunner or a sniper. And then finally, we are recommending the Chaperone, which is super godly right now, with a pulse rifle like the Horror's Lease. Of course, I didn't mention this earlier, but in the heavy slot, I would always recommend using a heavy weapon that can kill people very quickly. And what that would probably be is something like a Wardcliff Coil or a Hammerhead Machine Gun. Both have, you know, pretty incredible time to kills. They're very spammy weapons, and it really makes things a lot easier on you. So that's it for the video though, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any specific types of videos on Trials of Osiris that you'd like to see. I definitely have a lot of really cool stuff planned, like 2v3 cards, 1v3 challenges, all this type of good stuff. And it should be an absolute blast. So just definitely keep an eye out on the channel for more content, as we will be uploading in the coming days. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, subscribe for more daily Destiny 2 content. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.